All right, let's dive right into this explainer. You know when you're watching a modern soccer match and you just marvel at how these teams move? Like perfectly synchronized swarms? Well, it all goes back to a few visionary minds who completely re-engineered the geometry of the sport. Today, we're stripping away the magic to look at the hard tactical evolution, the underlying data, and the enduring legacy of a system that changed football forever.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, the total football revolution. Then, Rinus Michels, the architect. 1972, Ajax by the numbers. Cruyff's Barcelona dream team. And we'll finish up with the legacy of space.
So, how exactly do you make a football pitch bigger without actually moving the lines? It sounds like a trick question, right? But answering this brilliant spatial paradox required a complete shift in how human beings occupy a field.
Section 1. The Total Football Revolution. Let's look at the exact moment that broke the game out of its rigid, predictable past.
For decades, football was kind of static, you just played your designated position. But historically, we see this massive shift from incredibly top-heavy formations to much more balanced, fluid systems. Going from the chaotic 2-3-5 pyramids back in the 1880s through the WM and eventually to the 4-2-4 of the 1950s Brazilians and Hungarians, the groundwork for incredible flexibility was laid. It just hadn't quite been perfected yet. Total football wasn't just a new formation. It was a brand new way of manipulating the physical environment of the pitch. As author David Winter noted, it was a conceptual revolution. When Ajax and later the Dutch national team had the ball, they made the pitch as large as humanly possible, spreading play way out to the wings. But the absolute second they lost possession, they used that exact same thinking to utterly destroy the space for their opponents, literally suffocating them.
Section 2. Rinus Michels, the architect. Time to meet the mastermind who turned these abstract concepts into a living, breathing machine.
Enter Rinus Michels, who took over as manager of Ajax in 1965. Now, Michels demanded absolute, incredible discipline. He famously ran these grueling military-style camps at the start of the season with up to 4 training sessions a single day. 4. Why? Well, because to play a system where your defenders are constantly pushing forward and attackers are dropping back, the players needed an absolutely unheard-of level of physical fitness to pull his vision off.
But fitness wasn't enough. To make this demanding system work, Michels needed players who were fiercely intelligent and technically perfect. You had guys like Johan Cruyff acting as the versatile engine, a young Johan Cruyff as the orchestrator, really making the whole system tick on the pitch, and Pete Kaiser, a brilliant left winger who was an absolutely critical piece of the puzzle.
Actually, to truly grasp the sheer depth of talent Michels had at his disposal, listen to this quote from Dutch writer Nico Scheepmaker. He said, "Cruyff is the best, but Kaiser is the better one." Kaiser was so highly regarded that in August 1973, in a secret ballot, the Ajax squad actually voted Kaiser as team captain right over Cruyff. No way, right? That shock was so huge that just weeks later, Cruyff packed up and left to join Barcelona. But hey, before that split, they achieved pure magic together.
Section 3. 1972. Ajax by the numbers. Let's jump to 1972 and see how this blueprint actually functioned on the pitch against Inter Milan.
Just 0.42. That tiny, tiny number is the total expected goals mustered by Inter Milan from their 10 shots. Just let that sink in for a second. We're talking about Inter Milan, 2-time winners of the competition in the 1960s, and against Ajax, completely suffocated. It empirically proves how that aggressive pressing totally blanketed and stifled the opposition.
And the technical proficiency required to pull this off was just staggering. In this specific match, 7 players passed almost equally well with both feet. I mean, they were within a 15% range of a 50-50 split. For a little context, in the 2019 Champions League final, only one single player hit that mark. Being virtually ambidextrous allowed guys like Inter's Bonin Segna and Ajax Cruyff to circulate the ball with unpredictable rapid-fire speed.
But despite all that visionary movement, it's pretty fascinating to see that Ajax weren't a flawless modern machine just yet. Sure, they completely dominated territory, but they still fell victim to a highly inefficient shoot-on-sight policy from the midfield. They swung 29 crosses into the Inter penalty area, which is way above the modern average, and only one of those resulted in a goal. And honestly, even that was a messy finish after a goalkeeper collision. So they were revolutionary, absolutely, but there was still a bit of room for refinement.
Section 4. Cruyff's Barcelona Dream Team. Now we follow the evolution over to Spain, where Johan Cruyff transitioned to manager at Barcelona between 1988 and 1996.
Cruyff basically took Michels' ideas to their absolute pinnacle. He obsessed over possession. He demanded that every single player form geometric triangles to ensure the ball carrier always had two passing options. He used this really unorthodox back three, pushing his fullback super wide so the wingers could cut inside. His philosophy was crystal clear: defend by attacking and keep a compact block. That way, the second you lose the ball, you can quickly reorganize and snatch it right back.
To make this geometry sing, Cruyff resurrected a totally devastating tactical figure, the false nine. Michael Laudrup executed this masterfully. By completely vacating the traditional center-forward zone, Laudrup pulled confused defenders totally out of position. This created massive numerical superiority in the midfield for other players to just surge right into.
And Cruyff's defensive strategy? Just as radical. Instead of relying on big, physical, bruising runners, Cruyff utilized highly technical players, like a young Pep Guardiola, as a defensive pivot. Cruyff genuinely believed that correct positioning and relentless possession were the ultimate defensive tools. I mean, think about it. If you just keep the ball moving, the other team simply can't score.
Section 5. The Legacy of Space. Let's wrap up by looking at how this philosophy cemented itself permanently into the fabric of the sport.
The radical ideas of Michels and Cruyff were so incredibly successful that they quite literally wrote the textbook on modern tactical coaching. Seriously. These concepts, systems of play, structured possession, spatial dominance, they are now the deeply ingrained foundations of coaching education globally.
You can literally trace a direct evolutionary lineage here, from Michels' intense pressing revolution in Amsterdam, straight to Cruyff's geometric perfection in Catalonia, right down to the elite, heavy metal, possession-based systems managed today by disciples like Pep Guardiola and Marcelo Bielsa.
Ultimately, the core takeaway is summed up perfectly by Cruyff himself. He said, if you don't lose the ball in the build-up, it's very difficult to be counterattacked. It all comes down to this: controlling the ball means controlling the space, which completely mitigates your opponent's ability to harm you. Offense as the ultimate defense.
So that's a fascinating thought to leave you with for this explainer. If the pitch is just a flexible puzzle waiting to be solved, what geometric shapes haven't we discovered yet? 10 years from now, what will this look like? Keep an eye out for those invisible triangles the next time you watch a match. Thanks for exploring with me today, and keep learning.